What's up, YouTube? Today is the day. Today we're going to remove that bed and we're going to start tearing into this truck, getting ready for that C-notch install. I went ahead and time-lapsed through the rear bumper removal because it takes a little bit of time to remove, and that was kind of a pain in the ass to get off. But got it out the way. I'm going to remove the bolts that are holding the bed down, and then I'm going to show you, I already got it in there. I'm going to show you the contraption I'm going to use to remove the bed, and we'll go from there. Alright guys, let's get into this. So I started removing the bolts, and I started thinking maybe I should show people where the bolts are actually at who's never removed a bed before. So there's one right there. There's one right there. Some trucks even have them here. I know my white one did. In the 1970 I had. So it's going to depend on which truck you have. There's also one over here, which I've already removed. These bolts do not go through the wood. I don't know why they did that way. I don't know if they just wanted to hide the bolts, but alright, I'm going to remove those other two bolts and we're going to go from there. Alright guys, so I'm back at it. I had a major setback here because my engine hoist cylinder decided to give out this morning. I had to wait for Harbor Freight to open up so I could get a new cylinder. The other one seemed like it was bleeding internally. It kept going down every time I would raise up. But we dodged that problem, and we're going to continue to move on. So the bed's unbolted. This is the contraption I made, man, quite a long time ago when I pulled the bed off the white truck. I made it out of these 2x4s. Bought one of these, bought an engine plate. Those are always good to have. I use thick washers on both ends, and you just got to measure the inside of the bed so you can, you get up under this lip right here. Worked out real good on the white truck I used to have, and I used to have a 2000 Silverado that I pulled the bed off to do a C-notch on it as well, and it worked out for that one too. So when removing a bed, I would highly recommend pulling the rear bumper as I did. It just makes it a lot easier because the bumper's right here, so if you got something painted or you don't want to mess it up, it's going to make it a lot easier to pull that rear bumper off. So we're going to get back at it. I'm going to set up the camera and I'm going to start lifting this bed off, and I think I got everything disconnected, but we'll slowly jack it up and check as we go up. Alright guys, let's get to it. Alright, here we go. Remember correctly, I think it starts leveraging off the tailgate and starts picking it up. So got the pads here, pig mat. Like I said, once it leverages off this tailgate, it'll start lifting the front. Not the best setup in the world, but as you can tell, it's working. Let's check a few things here. Nothing holding it back, so let's lift the bed. Like I said, it's kind of leveraged on that tailgate. A little sideways, Show you what I'm talking about here. Yeah, those studs were hanging down, catching the frame. If you got bolts that go through the bed, you probably won't have the same problem I just had, but no big deal. Kind of hickeyed that up a little bit. Hey man, it's a patina truck. It is what it is. All right. So now what I'm gonna do, let me kneel down here, just so y'all can see this mug. So now what I'm gonna do is go ahead and do a little rearranging in the driveway so I can move the truck out and figure out where I'm gonna put the bed. I either gonna put it over here where my wife parks, or I'm gonna try to cram it in that corner, front corner of the garage. So I'm gonna figure all that stuff out and we'll go from there. All right, YouTube, so decided I'm gonna go ahead and put the bed right here in this right corner pocket here of the garage. When I did my white 70 a few years back, that's exactly where I put it, and it worked out fine. Had plenty of room here. Only thing I'm really concerned with is I built this workbench last year, and so it kind of sticks out from the wall, whereas when I did my 70, I didn't have that in the way. So I think we'll be able to fit. Just a matter of, will I have enough room to walk by? Will I have enough room to work? I should have enough room to work in here because that's where the bulk of the work's going to be done anyways. It's in the back of the frame. So what I am going to do right now is go ahead and power wash the thing, probably time lapse through all that, and then we'll back this thing in and assess the real estate that we have left to work around. And if I think it's going to be too tight and too crammed, then we may go ahead and move that bed outside in the driveway. Yeah, but for now, go ahead and power wash that thing and go from there. Here real quick, I just thought I'd show you the frame. Factory stamping number is kind of neat. Someday soon I'm going to be replacing this exhaust. It's a little too loud for me. I'll be rebuilding the drive shaft. Remember that first video I was telling you about? This is the bump stop. Those are those 3 rivets you gotta take for that template for the cnotch. Y'all get to see that pretty soon. That single air compressor. Of course, now I got the black fuel pack right there, so go ahead and wash her off. Hinge string's got this duck sticker stuck back there. I don't know what that's all about, but alright guys, about to power wash this thing. We're gonna get to it. pretty much got everything in place. I think we're going to go ahead and leave the bed in the garage because just enough clearance in between there. No issues there. Plenty of room to work around in this area. Access to my table. Plenty of room through here. So once I pull the rear end out, you know, this won't even be sticking out anymore. Plenty of room to walk through here. Got my workbench here if I need to use it. So yeah, all in all, I think we'll just leave the bed where it's at and start tearing the back of this truck. I already got it on jack stand, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull the wheels off, and I'm gonna go ahead and start doing the simple stuff first, the shocks, the drive shaft and things like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get to it, and let's go from there. Alright YouTube, I'm going to give you a little tech tip. If you've never taken a drive shaft off before, what you want to do, if you're going to take a drive shaft off, you might want to use like a piece of tape or zip tie around these caps, because they do come off relatively easy. And what's inside there is a bunch of needles. Those needles fall out, you're going to have a hell of a time putting all that back together. I'm not too worried about it because all this is going to get rebuilt and I'm getting new U-joints. But if you're not going to do that, you might want to zip tie. I've used masking tape. That works halfway decent. So just a little bit of advice. That way you don't have any issues if you have to take your drive shaft out. Alright, I'm going to get to it. So I just wanted to show y'all something that frustrates me. I never really paid attention to what the exhaust shop did, but I mean, they got this, I don't know, chicken shit looking bracket that's already coming apart. And this one, I don't know where, they look like they found that off the floor. Look how close my brake line is to the exhaust. And it looks like turn that camera right there. Look at that right there. And rubbed through. Probably a few more months, that thing would have started leaking on me. I don't know why people do stuff like that, but it is what it is. My motto is, if you want something done right, sometimes you just got to do it yourself. That's why I bought a welder. All right. So I've knocked out some of the simple stuff like removing the wiring, parking brake cable, you know, see that stuff down in there. I got the drive shaft out of the way, shocks out of the way, the panhard bars out of the way. I think what I'm going to do now is go ahead and remove the trailing arms and remove the rear end, and then go ahead and do all the air ride stuff, the brat bags, pull all the lines out, brake lines, get all that stuff out of there, and go from there. Get this thing all the way down to the frame. May do the exhaust today, may not. But I do got to pull it out because, I mean, obviously you can tell it's in the way. It's probably not really in the way, but I'm going to go ahead and take it out anyways, just to get it out of my hair. I'm going to go ahead and, this whole frame is going to be stripped and painted. So, alright guys, I'm going to get back at it. Just wanted to show you some of the cheesy stuff that you get when you don't even realize it. I mean, look at that weld. Come on, man. Come on. Alright, I'm going to get back at it. Just wanted to show y'all something. You always want to use line wrenches when it comes to these brakes. It just makes your world a whole lot better. Especially when you're dealing with these original lines. You just never know if it'll ever come apart. I have replaced this flex line, don't remember, several years ago. So I've had this apart. Just keep in mind, if you've never had it apart, if you don't have line wrenches, you might just round that head off, and then you're not going to have nothing to grab onto, especially if you use a regular wrench. So just disconnect that. It's going to make a little mess. Nobody said these jobs were clean. It's got this clip right here. There's a little junction back here behind the camera, so I might split it apart right there. Let me turn the camera around. Right in there is another little junction where that little brake line will come out. So we're going to go ahead and break that loose. I've never had this apart, so we'll see how easy it comes apart. Thinking I might go ahead and have all these brake lines replaced. Take them to a local hose shop I use when I'm at work. And there it goes. That's a job, but somebody's got to do it. Got a zip tie here. Another zip tie. Might try to figure out a better way of doing all this stuff. This is just kind of a not ghetto way to do it, zip tying it to the brake line, but the only thing that was there that was secure. Little trick I learned. If you ever get brake fluid on something that's painted that you don't want to, they say you can neutralize it with soap and water. And I believe that to be the case. Let me get a towel. Just thought I'd give y'all that bit of advice. I saw it on saw it on a truck show, I believe, or a car show. But they say if you spray soap and water on brake cleaner or brake fluid, it neutralizes it. I wouldn't be 100% sure on that, but I had no issues when I did the front, so just thought I'd share that with y'all guys. Alright, first things first, make sure your rear end's supported with jack stands before you start removing the trailing arms. So, here we go. We're going to go ahead and remove these two big nuts. It's a 1 16th inch socket. Now, if you're running a coil spring, That spring is under tension, so keep that in mind. I have airbags, so I'm not running into that situation. But if you're running coil springs, like if you're trying to do a drop, you know, drop springs or something, you may want to have the trailing arm supported by a floor jack or something like that until you take that bottom bolt down here. I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but once you take that out, then you can slowly lower the trailing arm. Went ahead and let the air out of the bag or bags. Disconnect these bolts down here. Let me get that other side. Alright, I want to correct myself on that last segment. Make sure you have the rear end supported and the frame. It'd be best to have floor jacks, not floor jacks, but jack stands. But if you only have 2 jack stands, then you can use a floor jack to support the frame or rear end. These lower shock mounts will not be used anymore. Reach over here, grab that 9/16. Bag bolts off. I got a ton of ratcheting wrenches in metric, but I don't have any in standard. In my job, most things are metric anyways. And I mess with this thing, and I got to do everything by hand. Let me get a floor jack. There we go. Well. There you go. Don't be scared, the nose of the rear end will want to go forward. So make sure you got all your brake lines disconnected before you do this. All right. What we're going to do is remove these trailing arm bolts. They're 1 1/8 inch, and I've had this off apart before, so it shouldn't be too hard to get loose. Like I said, guys, I've had this apart before, so whoop. There it is. slide these arms out of the way and go from there. So I think we'll pretty much call it on this first video here. Pretty much covered the basics as far as what you're going to need to remove when doing stuff like this. Some guys are going to have coil springs, so they're not going to have an air tank to remove, the compressor, or any of that stuff. So off camera, I'm going to go ahead and take care of this and this. Remove the bags and the air lines and the power wire going to the compressor. I think tomorrow, if I'm in the mood today, I might do it, but tomorrow for sure I'm going to pull the exhaust down. It's not necessary in this process, but I'm just going to have it out of my way. So like I said, I want to clean the whole frame up, remove all the rust, and paint everything so the exhaust will be in my way. Pretty much covers it. I think on part 2, the next video we're going to do, we're going to probably start removing all the rivets that are necessary to get the C-notch in, the shock relocator, and all that good stuff. I'm thinking since I have a welder, I'm going to go ahead and weld in my own C-notches. Yes, I am using flux core. Yes, MIG gas welding would be better looking weld. But I think I'm just going to do flux core. Once everything's put together and they're painted, you're not going to see it. As long as it don't look like that exhaust over there that I showed you earlier. I'm pretty disappointed in that. I'll probably never go to that shop again. That's pretty much it, guys. I think I'm going to go ahead and call it on this one. And stay tuned for the part 2. We're going to start knocking off rivets with the snap-on air hammer. Alright guys, thanks for watching.